For 5 years, Ferrari put touchscreen on their steering wheel. And for 5 years, people that actually own this thing begged them to stop. This is Ferrari's apology. This is the new Amalfi Spider, 600 horsepower at 7,500 RPM. No touch sensitive anything, no hybrid. And I've flown all the way to Greece to answer 2 questions. Is Ferrari's U-turn car actually any good? And is the most divisive Ferrari redesign in years actually make sense when you stood next to it? Let's find out. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room because the internet hasn't been too kind about this face. Here's what's happened. The Roma, people love that body-colored grille. And I have to admit, it is nice. But here we are, they've redesigned it and it looks absolutely fantastic, I think anyway. There's some hints of the FAT hypercar or the Deutsche Cylindri here. We see that visor on the front, which looks absolutely fantastic. It's very low to the ground as well. You've got some aero elements on the car. For example, there's a little gap here that goes over the headlights and then passes through for aero. And then you've got the front splitter here as well. It's got all this fancy Ferrari name for it as well, which I won't get into. And then we look at this sculpted bonnet here, which allows for the space for those twin turbo engine that we've got in the engine bay. That looks cool as well. It works with the car, absolutely. I think it looks fantastic, especially when you see this in person. Look at the paintwork as well. The way it just shimmers against the light there. You can sort of see the glistening in the paintwork, and that is so Ferrari. It's all about premium, luxurious elements of the car. Everything is detailed, it's been well thought through. And then we'll look at the 20-inch alloys here as well. We've got this big Brembo brake system here, which we'll talk about that as well because we've got brake-by-wire in this, which absolutely feels fantastic so far. I haven't been driving it. And then we see the way that they've put holes in here as well for that effect to cool the brakes as you drive in the car. And then we'll move over to the side, Ferrari badge there. It's nice and sleek and tidy on the side as well. No drastic creases, and then the door handles designed as well to keep that sleek element going, to keep it nice and clean and tidy, like I said already. Fuel cap is over there, and then we've got wider alloys on the back. Again, look at this bit, the way this shoulder is very, very aggressive and athletic. It just looks absolutely fantastic. And obviously we have the Spider, which is a soft top, drop top, and the material that they used for this cover is absolutely fantastic. And then we move over to the back. The story continues with the design. It's very tidy. If you've seen the Amalfi before, it's pretty much the same. We've got those slim profile tail lights over on the back. We've got the carbon finished diffuser on the back here. Look at the quad exhaust pipes as well. Looks aggressive and sporty without overdoing it. And I think it looks absolutely fantastic. If you ask me, the back is probably my favorite part of the car in terms of the design. We've got a Ferrari badge on there as well, Ferrari logos there. And also the spoiler is nicely tucked away. So when this is not active, it just looks very, very seamless with the rest of the car. This offers 3 stages of downforce. So whether you're cornering, whether you're going at high speed, this will deploy according to what speed you're going at. So those 3 stages will work perfectly well. We're talking 110 kilos of downforce available to us with that spoiler. So overall, I think this looks absolutely fantastic, and driving this down the countryside or driving this down the coast will look absolutely fantastic, especially in this finishing here as well. And obviously we can't finish the design without talking about the Spider element, because this roof here is finished in 5-layer technical pack, which allows for better acoustic in terms of comfort. And this will open up in 13.3 seconds at up to 60 kilometers per hour. So around 40 miles per hour, which is absolutely fantastic. And this will pack up, as in retract in the boot. You're talking around 220 millimeters of pack, and also it preserves that 170 liters of boot space, which isn't too bad. And before we go inside as well, just to show you this is a wind deflector, and this is designed to reduce cabin turbulence. So you can deploy this using a button, which I'll show you guys when we get to the front bit. But when you're not using it, just push it down, clicks into place, and then now you've got enough space to store or put your dogs. I don't know any human being that can fit into this seat. In fact, let me take my shoes off because this looks so clean. I don't want to get it dirty. Look at this. There's absolutely no way anyone is, I don't even know why I'm trying. There's just no space here. And the rest of the interior looks absolutely fantastic. Look at this blue finishing with this sexy stitching on it, this stitching that matches the color of the car. And if you notice as well on the brake calipers, the color, the blue color matches the interior seats, which I think it's just those tiny little details that really matters. And the rest of the flooring as well, the carpets and everything, it just looks absolutely fantastic in here. You got this central tunnel here, which is finished in anodized aluminium as well. And the way they've designed it is a dual cockpit design that separates the passenger from the driver. So again, there's no overreaching. So keep your hands to yourself. The key is placed here, so you just tuck it away, store it away, and this key is absolutely sexy as well. Look at that, got leather finishing on the back, Amalfi Spider written on it, lock and unlock there as well, and just that big Ferrari logo. It just looks really cool. And then when you're not using it, you just tuck it back in there, and you're good to go. We've got a bit of space in here to store things, so at the moment it's got my phones and whatnot in there, nice and discreet over there. It's finished in this suede material or Alcantara leather. And then you got the transmission area here, which is reverse, manual, auto. And then if you want to do launch control, it's there as well. And there we've got buttons here, very subtle for the windows, and obviously to open the roof as well. And this is the one that deploys that wind deflector on the back, and you got one storage for your bottle. And there's a wireless charging in here as well, which is impressive that they've managed to fit all that in this tiny little space. What you'll also notice here, they've also split this front dash here, so we have two displays. So there's a display there over there for the passenger, so they can control the media, they can see what speed you're going at, for example, they can control the maps. It's all there for you. But I love the way that it's focused on the passenger, and this area is also focused on the driver for the driver's side. This screen, what they've said is this is nice and discreet in the way that's placed, so it's not distracting. There's no head-up display or anything like that, but nice and easy to control. We'll show you that shortly as well. And then another big story here is the fact that we get obviously the display, but on the steering here, we've got this carbon finishing. Over here's the rev lights with the rev limit, powers on when you put in sports mode, for example. But over here, we've got buttons. We've got buttons. The engine start stop buttons come back. And then we get the Manettino there as well, which allows you to switch from wet to comfort to sport to race mode. All there for you. Wiper controls there as well. Your indicator switches are there. Driver monitoring systems there as well. So we get all the buttons back, which I think a lot of the owners were crying for, which I'm glad they've rethinked that and did a U-turn on that one to bring that back. But that's pretty much it in terms of the interior. Nice and comfortable. The seats hold you in place. You even get seat massage system in here, and you can adjust the side bolsters. So depending on your torso size, you can adjust that to make sure that you're nice and comfortable whilst the car still keeps you nice and positioned and in place. So more on the display, I think it does the job. It does what it needs to do. It's not the fanciest of all displays that I've seen or infotainment system that I've worked with. We've got this button here that allows for front lift. You've got your temperature control, that's always going to be there as well. And then we've got Apple CarPlay here as well wirelessly, which is fantastic. I'm not sure if it supports Android Auto, but I'm assuming that it would do as well. And then if you go into the menu here, we can see you can turn the display off. You've got interior settings on here, so you can see the interior. We've got audio settings or selection. So you can select it if you want HD, R drive, Apple CarPlay, etc. We come back out, go back into that settings again. We can see you've got loads of options here, footwell lights, display auto mode, etc., etc. Infotainment settings there as well, so you can do your equalizer settings. So it's all there for you if you want to play with that. But going back to home screen, like I said, it's just nice and simple. There's not much to it really, to be honest with you. And this is the passenger screen. You got Amalfi Spider there as well. Nice badge, by the way. You can turn this off completely if you don't want it, if it's distracting, or they can do things like look at your performance, audio, and change some of the settings over there as well. And there's like seat control as well. So there's not a lot going on here for the passenger to play with, but most importantly, on a road trip, they're able to control the music, so they can be the DJ whilst you drive the car. And the instrument cluster, this area, you can change the view if you want, so that's cool as well. It's got a bit of delay when you press the view button to switch over the graphics and stuff like that. But if you just leave it on this standard screen here, you got car information, so that your tire pressure will go up there. The engine's off right now. Get your rev counter over there. But also over here, it's quite dynamic, so you can go across to like things like phone settings. You can change your settings, vehicles there as well, and you can change all this information as you're driving as well. There's no issues there at all, but it's nicely segregated, separated into different segments that you want. And then you got the Manettino, which then shows some graphic here. So put the engine on. Woo, that sounds good. So you can go from wet, you can go to comfort, you got sport, you got race, and you can turn ESC off as well if you're brave enough. But we've been trying in different modes here just to see how they all feel, which we'll talk about in the driving segment. But let's just turn the engine off for now. That's basically it. Nice and simple, straightforward, easy to use. Okay, So the driving bit. And I think one of the questions a lot of people are asking, well, what I wanted to know is, what does this sound like? That flat plane crank V8, does it still sound good? Because one of my concerns is that with all the legislations, with the way things sounds and how loud things can be, I was worried it'd be quite tamed, but boy was I wrong, because this thing sounds amazing. I mean, obviously it depends on which mode you have it in. Even in comfort mode, it still sounds good. It's in comfort right now, and whoa, you can just hear it go. And then we just crank it up to sport. You don't quite get the crackling and popping and all that kind of stuff, but it still gives you some sort of pop here and there to give you that playful element of what the car's about. Ooh. The gearbox is fantastic as well, in how quickly it downshifts and moves. You've also got the manual mode, which means you're now in control of your gear shifts. And talking about that gearbox, like I was saying, oh, so playful. Look at that. Okay, let's take it back into auto and keep talking about this. You got 760 Newton meters at 3,000 RPM. And the way the power delivery is, I think is fantastic, because you got plenty of torque just throughout, keep delivering and delivering and delivering. So it just feels like you constantly have the speed at your fingertips if you really need it. And the ADAS system, you can turn it off, so all this bing bong of like speed warning and lane departure stuff, you can turn all that off in custom settings on the screen here. You can set it to your own custom settings and off you go. But we've got plenty of power here. The power delivery is fantastic. The chassis is designed to stay flat around bends and corners. It's so agile. The rack is fast as well. The steering rack, that is, it's just engaging. There's not a lot of steering input to go into it. It just works. And let's not forget about the brake-by-wire system. It feels natural in terms of you press it, it's responsive, and it does the job. One thing I will say here is though, Ferrari says this is meant to be a very easy car to drive. Yes, it is very easy, but on a day like this, you gotta be careful, because the back end just wants to kick out every now and then effortlessly without even trying too hard. I went around the roundabout earlier and without even realizing the back end flicked. So I don't know about that easy to drive thing they're talking about there. And then you can see that airpin, we just went around. The back wanted to do a bit of his own thing, but under control as well still. So it doesn't really scare you, doesn't give you a shock. It just still works really well. I don't know if people that will buy this will be able to enjoy all that kind of stuff without taking this out there just to see what it truly feels like out on the road. But what I would say is handling is fantastic. In true Ferrari fashion, sounds amazing. That V8 engine, the exhaust notes, it still sounds absolutely amazing as well. The brakes are great. If you have this in comfort mode, it gives you the option to not wake the neighbors up or drive down your private road in London somewhere or some countryside without disturbing the neighbors. Everything just feels nice and calm. And that 5-layer fabric material here keeps things at bay here. So it's not too loud. It's not as loud as I thought it'd be. And even with the roof down, driving on the motorway or whatever, I think it still sounds good. But then that brings me to, if you notice, we've been driving with the roof down the whole time. We're gonna put the roof up. And they promise 13.3 seconds at up to 60 kilometers per hour. So let's just slow this down. We've got timer here. So we're gonna see if this will actually do exactly what they say, because who tests it? No one does. People just go, yeah, Ferrari says that, or the manufacturer says that, so be it. So like 60 kilometers per hour right now. And let's start the timer. Is he gonna do it? It's going. 10 seconds, 11 seconds. I think it's here or there. About 13.5, 13.8. But I don't know if we're counting the windows going up after the fact as well. But the whole point is, if you're driving down the road like this and you decided, actually, we want the roof we want the roof up so we can enjoy the sunny temperature. You can do exactly just that at 60 kilometers per hour. Just fine, no issues. This is the roof up right now, and this is me speaking. I'm at normal voice levels, which means I'm talking to a passenger. They can still hear me clearly. If I'm playing my music, I can still hear my music with no issues at all. And then you got that deployment on the other side for the wind deflector, which is I press this button, that goes all the way up. And then that way, the acoustics in the car is even quieter. That wind deflector is doing its job. And I think they've thought through everything and it does exactly that. So no issues there at all. Fantastic. And if you're wondering, is this comfortable for longer drives? Is a GT car at the end of the day? Absolutely yes. The seats are comfortable. You got seat massage. All that's there for you. You put in comfort mode and it's not that stiff in terms of the suspension. So you don't have to worry about all the road imperfections. It just sits nice and comfortable for long drives. Stick the roof down, it's even quieter. So that way you can be nice and serene in the driving cabin. Visibility is great all around the car as well. No issues at all. Practicality, 172 litres in that boot space is not a lot. The back seat is non-existent, so you could probably fit a dog there or dogs. But human beings, I don't know anyone who can fit in those spaces. It's ridiculous. So you're probably gonna end up putting your extra luggages in the backseat area. So yeah, comfortability, I think it ticks a lot of boxes there. But practicality, not so much. Right, let's give launch control a go. Manual, launch. Yes, activated, foot on the brake. Oh my God. No wheel spins, a tad bit slow off the line, but that was very quick. This car is no slacker. So, where does this actually sit? Well, 3 cars matters here. The Roma Spider that this replaces, because the internet basically are saying this is just a facelift with a new name. But I disagree. This is a completely new car in every way. Maybe the only thing that's probably a crossover is probably the glass. But even then, speaking to them, they said even that's new. Who knows? But here we get 28 horsepower more. So it's got more power, it's got new brakes, and at 1556 dry, it's barely heavier than the outgoing model. So I think they're giving us a whole lot more here for a car that Ferrari says is completely new. Second, the 296. Yes, it's quicker, it's hybrid, it's the tech showcase. But I think the 296 doesn't come with the honesty that this comes with. We're talking one engine, one character, no battery, no electrification. We even get new turbos. And lastly, the question everyone might be asking is, what about the 911 Turbo S Cabriolet? Well, at half the price, the rational answer obviously would be the 911. But as someone puts it very nicely, or one of the top comments when I was looking online, no one goes to the store anymore looking for the 911. But this one, people cross the road just to check it out. Price-wise, you're talking, I think around £210,000. And then Ferrari being Ferrari, you add options, it's gonna cost a bit more. So it's pretty much on the pricier side. But what I would say is, you are getting a whole lot of car for your money. And this is a car that not only does it look great on the road, it's very pretty to look at. They brought back the buttons. The driving dynamics is great as well. So overall, good stuff here. New brakes as well. It's rear biased. The way they've designed the chassis, it's very good. It's great for touring as well. So it has a lot going for it. So definitely, I definitely recommend looking at one of these if you're on the market for a cabriolet, a soft top, whatever you want to call it. That's also a Ferrari.